Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing well out there today. Just for complete transparency, this whole video is sponsored by Linode. In fact, if you take a look at the link in the description down below, you'll see that they actually want to give you $100 just to try out their service for 60 days. So when you use the link in the description, you'll be brought to this page right here saying that the welcome from DB Tech. This is an exclusive offer for DB Tech viewers. Create a Linode account and receive $100 in credit. So all you got to do is just sign up and take a look at their service. Again, that's $100 just to check them out, try some different things out. One of the things that I really love about the idea of using Linode is that maybe you don't have extra hardware to test things out and you want to keep your production stuff and your testing stuff separate. Linode is a great way to try out different containers, different things like that we talk about on this channel quite a bit. So we spend a lot of time talking about Portainer. Recently, we've talked about Casa OS. Something we talked about more than a year ago now, I think, was Yacht. So I think in this video, we're going to take a look at installing Yacht on Linode using one of their pre-built images. So click the link in the description, get your free credit, and follow along. So here we are, we're logged in, and we've got a blank screen here, more or less, where we've got some options we can take a look. Right here in the middle where it says create a Linode. That is their name is their product, basically. So like DigitalOcean calls them droplets, Linode calls them Linodes. So that's what we've got going on here. We've got the option where we can just click there and create a Linode. And here we can, kind of build our Linode setup here. We can choose, basically there's a ton of different options for what image you'd like to use for your base, for your operating system. I am actually going to use Debian 10 here, but you could, if you wanted to use 9 or even 11, you could go back as far as 8 if you really needed to for some reason, but there's also CentOS and Arch Linux and Fedora and Ubuntu and Slackware and OpenSUSE, lots of different options there. But again, I am going to use Debian 10. That's just what I like to use for these setups. Below that, you can choose where or what data center you'd like to use based on your location. Here we can see that they've got, looks like 4 here in the States, 1 in Ontario, Canada, a couple in Europe, and then 4 over in the Asia Pacific region. So choose whichever one you want for your setup. I think I'm going to go with Dallas. It's probably out of all of those the closest to me. Below that, we've got Linode plans, and here's where the money kind of comes into it. So basically, you can do dedicated CPUs, you can do shared CPUs, you can do high memory setups here, or you can do GPU heavy setups as well. However, they do say right up here that they're only available in Mumbai, Atlanta, Newark, New Jersey, Singapore, and Frankfurt. So you would have to choose a data center in one of those locations to be able to use the GPU heavy setups. So we're just going to come over here to the dedicated CPU area. This is kind of where the money aspect of things comes in. When you start selecting your plan, of course, we can choose anywhere from 4 to 512 gigs of RAM. And of course, each one of those comes with, a specific amount of CPU cores, as well as a specific amount of storage by default. You can add additional storage by adding volumes if you wanted to do that. But this is just kind of the basic plan that we're going to start with here. I'm going to go ahead and select this dedicated 4 gig. That's $30 a month. So it definitely falls within a safety zone of that $100 for 60 days realm there. Below that, you can choose your label, your tags. If you wanted to do any of that, you can enter a root password, which you'll have to do there. If you want to, or you should, use SSH keys. You can upload your keys here. You can attach VLANs. You can get a dedicated private IP. All kinds of stuff for this selection. However, what I actually want to do here, because I like to make things as simple as possible, what I want to do is actually come over to Marketplace. So here we are on the Marketplace tab. This is actually going to make things a little bit easier, kind of take out some of the overhead of installing a bunch of stuff when we can just have it done automatically. We can install just a WordPress Linode or a Nextcloud Linode, or if you wanted to run a game server like CSGO, if you wanted to just have a basic Docker server, there's a Docker Linode that you can install here. What we're going to do, like I mentioned earlier, is we're going to scroll down to Yacht right here, and we're just going to make that our kind of our base so that it knows what to do next. For Yacht, it's going to ask for a password. This will be the password we will use to log in to Yacht. Like so, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put in my email address. Oops. And then below that, it says, do you want to support Yacht Compose? I'm going to say yes, that's fine. Below that, we can choose what theme we want. There's default, red, and OMV. I think for the sake of this video, though, we're just going to do default. Like so, and then from here we can choose which Debian image we want to use to support this install. So what I'm going to do is actually use Debian 10. The region, I'm still good with Dallas. Dallas is closest to me, I believe. Yeah, it's just south of me here. So again, I am going to do the dedicated CPU. I'm still going to choose that same 4 gig setup that I showed a moment ago. And below that, our Linode label will be Yacht. I'm just going to do tutorial, like so. I'm not going to add any tags. I don't need to do that. A root password, of course, we need a root password. And then below that, again, we could add SSH keys if we wanted to do that for a more secure authentication method. Below that, we can attach a VLAN. If you've created a VLAN, you can do backups, which I highly encourage if you're going to have a production server on Linode. Definitely get backups. It's $5 a month. Totally worth it, in my opinion. But because this is just a tutorial, I'm not going to do that. I am, however, going to select private IP so that I'm not sharing that with anybody else, and it's easier to point a domain name to it. So we've gone ahead and selected all of our options here. And basically what we can do next is just scroll over here and click on Create Linode. Oops. So that is just a little thing I've noticed. Because I went from one screen to another and I didn't actually select it on this screen, we'll go ahead and reselect that. There we go. So now let's click Create. There it goes. So just a little thing, not a big deal. So we'll go ahead and give this a minute. Then it's going to bring us to this page where we can see that the Yacht tutorial Linode that we've created is provisioning. We can see that we've got 2 CPU cores, 4 gigs of RAM, 80 gigs of storage. We don't have any additional volumes attached to that for right now because 80 gigs should be plenty for what we want to do here. Here we can see it's now running. However, we will want to give this a few minutes to kind of run some scripts in the background and actually get Yacht installed and that sort of thing. So we're going to just kind of hang out for a minute. But while we're waiting for that, we can keep looking at this. We can see that it shows us what our IP address is, both for IPv4 and IPv6, which I really appreciate. We can see that it gives us the command that we would use to just SSH into our server as root. Below that, there is Lish. I'm actually not sure what Lish is. I've never used it, but I'm sure I'll take a look at that at some point. And then above that, we've got the option to power it off, reboot it, or launch a Lish console. Below all of this information, we can see our analytics as far as CPU, network, disk I/O, and network I/O. Once they become available, of course, we just spun this up, so it'll take a little while for this to populate. Below that, or next to that, in the next tab over, we've got network. Here we can see how much this particular Linode has used so far in monthly network transfer, and how much transfer we've got left for the month. Now, this may be just a little off for a number of reasons, but nothing to worry about. 400 gigs is still quite a bit when we're dealing with this kind of stuff. So over here on the right, we can see all of the DNS resolvers, again, for IPv4 and IPv6. For storage, we can see that our Debian 10 disk is an ext4 file type. We've got about 80 gigs of storage there, and we've got a 512 meg swap space. No volumes. Again, from here we can create volumes if we need to do that to give more storage space to our containers or applications, whatever the case may be. Next, we've got configurations, and this just kind of gives us some more information about our setup here. Again, we're running Debian 10. You can see that our SDA and SDB for our disks, for our basically our storage, and our swap is listed there. So if you're not sure what your disk path is, you can see that it's probably going to be SDA. We've got network interfaces of ETH0. Sometimes that comes into play when we're trying to configure containers. We need to know what the name of the network interface is. In this case, it is ETH0. That's actually pretty common. It may vary from system to system, but this is actually pretty common. Our next tab here is backups. Now, we didn't select backups, but again, what I love about this is you can add backups at any time. So if you wanted to do that, just click Enable Backups, go through that process, and you're set up and ready to go. or activity feed, you can kind of get an idea of when it was created, when it was booted, when it was modified, when it was rebooted. Kind of all of those things that you may want to know later on is all listed out here for all of your events. And then your settings, you can go in here and change any of this stuff as far as, you can reset your root password. I love that. That makes it easier. You can change your labels if you wanted to. Nope, you can't change that. That's probably good. You can get notifications for CPU, disk rate, incoming and outgoing traffic, as well as your transfer quota. So you can get notified before things become an issue pretty easily there. And then Shutdown Watchdog is a Linode manager feature capable of automatically rebooting your Linode if it powers off unexpectedly. So I dig that. And then below that, the last thing on this page is to delete your Linode. So if you have, done your testing and you're comfortable with whatever it is you're working on, you don't need it anymore, come over here, click delete, and you're good to go. So let us take a look. Let's grab this IP address right here and just paste that in there. And we're going to go to port 8000. That is where Yacht lives by default. We've given this plenty of time to boot up and do its thing in the background. So I thought that was kind of a good way to kill some time, but also kind of explore what your Linodes will look like once you've booted them up. So I'm going to enter my email address, the one I entered as I was setting this up. And here we are. So one of the things that I actually really love about Yacht is that you can see all of your containers that are running on this homepage. And I know that seems like a weird thing, but when I log in, this is the first thing I want to see is what is currently running on my system. And what I love even more about this is that it shows on a container by container basis what's being used for CPU and memory. And that is such a big thing for me. I want to know what's going on, if a container is being weird, if it's using too much CPU, if it's using too much RAM, or what's going on. I love being able to just see that at a quick glance. So from here, you can just actually click on the name. I feel like if the guys from Yacht ever watch this, I feel like this needs to have the little pointer icon over this instead of the text select icon. Because if we click it, we actually get to come in here and take a look at our container and get an idea of what's going on here as far as what information is available, what processes are running under it, all of the logs that are currently available for this. In fact, this is a Linux server distribution of Yacht. And then, of course, stats over here as far as system usage for CPU and memory. It keeps good track of that as we're going as well. So let's come back over to here. So this is a very much like Portainer in that Yacht is a Docker management container so that you can use a Docker container to manage other Docker containers. So what I dig about this is if we come over to templates, if we go to applications, it's just going to show us a running list of everything that's going on here. And this is more what you would expect to see in Portainer if you're familiar with that. But if we come over here and click on templates, there are no templates in here, but you can click add right here. And right here is actually a default template that they recommend giving a shot. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to call this Yacht default, oops, like so, and I'll click submit. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is actually let's install an app into Yacht like we would Portainer, more or less. So what we'll do is we're going to come over to our templates. We're going to go into Yacht default, and then we've got a full list of all of the applications that we want to install here. So let's scroll around and see what we can find for an application to install. Let's try Dash Machine. We've actually talked about Dash Machine in previous videos on the channel, being self-hosted locally, but maybe you want to try a new dashboard and see if it's what you want to do before you go through the process of putting it on your local machine. So let's click deploy. Here we can see that we've got our application name is Dash Machine. Our image is rmount joy / Dash Machine latest. Our restart policy is unless stopped. That's all perfectly fine. Below that, there are some advanced features here that we can do, whether it's running commands, passing through devices, labels we can add, system control or kernel options, special permissions, like maybe you need to do a net admin or something. That happens every once in a while. So there's a bunch of different overrides that you can do here. And then below that, capabilities, not overrides, I apologize, capabilities. And then runtime below that, you can limit CPU and memory usage if you wanted to do that. So let's click on networking next. And here our network is just going to be bridge. That should be fine. Our ports will be on port 5000. That looks fine as well. What I also like is that all of these advanced commands below here go through the entire build process. So if you forget or you remember or realize whatever, you can change any of these advanced settings without having to go back to the first tab or page. So I really do appreciate that. So let's click continue here. So our configuration, our host, so this is basically where we're going to install this on our machine, on our VPS, on our Linode in this case. And so basically it says exclamation point config / machine. And what's cool about this is Linode has kind of built their own template variables that you can just, if you remember, all you have to do is remember their different variables, and then it will automatically fill in the blanks over here for what that path is for that variable. So I really dig that they've got that. So config should be fine right there. And then the container, this is what the path that the container needs. So don't mess with that side unless you have a very specific need to, but you shouldn't. Next, we're going to click continue, and we should be good to go. So should be able to click deploy here. Hey guys, so as I was editing this, I realized I completely skipped a step here. We're on the environment tab. That's step 4 in the build process. And you can actually add environmental variables to this as necessary by clicking on the little plus sign that's there on the right side of the page, right under environment. You can add as many environmental variables as you need for your particular image. Most of these pre-built images you shouldn't have to mess with. However, if you do run into a situation where you want to build your own image or your own container based on an image that's not available in the template section there, you can add environmental variables using the little plus symbol on this page before you click deploy. So sorry I missed that. I just wanted to make sure I got back to this to let you know that I did miss that and that you can add those later on if you need to. We'll give this just a moment. And there we go. So there is Dash Machine doing its thing. So if we open this up, click the little drop down there, we can edit, update, start, stop, restart, kill, and remove. So I love that all of those features are just right there. I really do think that's a great option there. Our project, we don't have a project attached to it. Our status is running. We can see our image. We can see our web UI. I'm not sure why that's duplicated, but there it is. So let's go ahead and just click on web UI there. Okay, so it says that we've updated. So we're going to just mark that as red. We're going to go to login. And then we need to remember what our login is because we didn't dictate that during our setup process. Login is admin. Sure, why not? That works for me. So we'll do admin like so. And here we are. Now we're logged into our dashboard, and we can go to settings, and we can build out our configuration here. We can log out. We can hide the side nav, whatever we want to do there. But here we can see that we've got Dash Machine up and running just with just a few clicks in Yacht. So let's come back over to here. Let's go to our dashboard here, and here we can see that Dash Machine is up and running. Currently just chilling, not doing anything. We're using 55 megs, give or take, available or on our 4 gigs. So 1% there. We're not using any CPU because it's really not doing anything other than just existing. So that's how easy it is to deploy a container using Yacht. Now, what's cool about Yacht is, of course, if you wanted to, you could just go in and add your own container and fill in the blanks, for the name, the image, the restart policy. You can go in and build whatever application you want to build with Yacht, just like you would in Portainer, but they do have a very cool template system that you can use to just basically 1-click, 4 or 5-click, minimal click install, where everything's just pre-populated and ready to go. So I really dig Yacht for that reason. So let's come back over to our dashboard where we've already taken a look at this. Our applications, we've already kind of taken a look at this, where we can see, what's up and running. We can switch the view. Those are our columns, so we can adjust. Maybe we don't need project, we can turn that off. Maybe we don't care when it was created, we can turn that off. Or of course, just with a single click, we can turn all of that back on. Our templates, we can add multiple templates. So maybe you want to build your own template to use in Yacht. You can absolutely do that right here. And just wherever that happens to be, point it to that URL and import your template that way. Projects, if you wanted, maybe you've got multiple containers that you want to have on a single Docker compose.yml, you can absolutely do that using projects. Resources, images, volumes, and networks. You can build additional networks here. So under volumes, we can see that we've got Yacht data here. We can create additional volumes. We can delete volumes from here, manage everything that way. Images, we can see what images we have stored here. I wonder if they have one. Oops, cancel. No, that is, so you can directly pull an image from here. So I really do dig that. One thing I wish they had was for it to show the file size of the image. I'd kind of like to see that. Because sometimes these are, a few megs to a few gigs. I'd like to see where my resources are being used for disk space there. Settings. So if you wanted to import server settings from an existing server, you could absolutely do that. Or if you've got a server set up the way you want it, you can export those settings and import it somewhere else from this screen here. So really dig that. The theme, you can choose primary, secondary, background, foreground, and tab colors. If you want to modify it and make it your own, you can absolutely do that. You can turn dark theme on and off. Light theme is so bright. Template variables we kind of took a look at already as far as what those look like. And if you want to, you can add additional variables. If you've got special locations or special variables that you want to use in your setups, you can absolutely create your own right down here in the bottom right. And then once you're done with that, of course, click Save. Up here, we've got prune, so we can prune our unused images, unused networks, unused volumes, and unused containers. I really love that is an option here, rather than having to SSH into a server and run all of your prune commands or a mass prune command. But sometimes it is nice to just have everything done through a GUI rather than having to do it through SSH. Really appreciate that is there. And then, of course, over here, we've got update. If there's an update available, you can click right there and update Yacht instead of having to go through and stop the container and pull the new image and then just click update. Makes it much easier sometimes. So I really dig that is there. And then, of course, in the bottom left, we've got a link to their website and a link to their GitHub for Yacht, so you can get more information about Yacht if you wanted to do that. So guys, there you go. There's just a quick overview on how to set up Yacht using a pre-installed image on Linode. I want to give a big shout out to Linode for becoming a partner, sponsoring the channel, helping me out, hopefully helping you guys out. Again, remember there's a link in the description where you can get $100 free of charge to try their service for 60 days and just go mess around, try some different things, maybe test some stuff out that you didn't really want to test on your local machine. Whatever the case is, it's a free $100 to test out for 60 days over on Linode. So thanks to them for that. So hopefully you guys found this video interesting, taking a look at Linode. Of course, we just took a look at one of their images in this particular video, but I think I will be probably like the last Thursday of every month will kind of be Linode Day, where we'll take a look at a different thing, a different feature, a different way to set something up, and maybe deploy a whole remote server setup on Linode. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'd love to know what kind of applications you want to see set up on Linode, configurations, what you'd like to know more about on Linode. I'd be happy to do my own research and help you guys understand what's going on a little bit better. If you've got any questions about how to set something up on Linode, I really dig their service. They've been at this a long time, and they're very, very good at what they do. So I'm stoked that they were willing to partner with me and help me educate you guys on their service and how to use it and different things like that. So if you guys have thoughts or questions, ideas, whatever, leave those in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to take a look at that and see what we can do to put together a badass Linode setup for an off-site server that maybe you want to use when you're away, you want to give somebody else access to, whatever. Definitely let me know that in the comment section down below. Be happy to take a look at all of that. But I think with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So as always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.